Hey boys and girls of the YouTube world. Today we're working on my dad's 1966 Buick Skylark. I took it out to the bank the other day. I could hear a real strange noise from the right front wheel. Got out, looked, and it was sitting all cattywampus, and it was too hot to put my hand on, so Mojo came and rescued me. And he's ripping into it. And we got some bad wheel bearings. Hopefully we could salvage the spindle. I said the spindle's gonna be roached. Oh, there it is. There's the race, not the race, the inner part of the outside bearing. So actually the spindle's probably fine. Good deal. But yeah, you could see how the drum was grinding on the backing plate. And look at those little tiny baby brakes. So guess what? Now's gonna be a good time to convert it to disc brakes, since we've had the parts laying around for it for a while. You can see it shouldn't be shiny right here. And it didn't groove it up, surprisingly. But yeah, Mojo, you were right. Spindle looks fine. You know what you're talking about. I said the spindle would be bad. You know what that's for? Tell us.
For radio.
For your radio suppressor? Is that what it's called or something like that?
Yeah.
I've never seen one like that. Does the Chevrolets have them, or is it only like the Buicks and Cadillacs?
Just a very few had them.
Just the fancy cars like the Buick Skylarks. So how are we gonna get that off there? We're gonna have to get a 3-jaw puller? Oh, never mind, you got the 3-jaw puller right there. Beat it like it owes you money. I tell you what. I don't know, Mojo.
Oh, you.
We screwed that spindle up.
Did we?
Well, we, as in me, those threads are all chewed up. She's ground down. We'll get her apart, see how it looks. Here. Oh, you're gonna go straight to the death wheel, huh? Let's two-hand this. You do that part.
Now, which way you got this going?
You never run it before. Come on now. Hold on. There you go.
Ready?
Yep. We're gonna need to put the 5/8 on the other impact.
Maybe.
All right.
Talk about your tool.
1/2-inch drive. Let's see if it'll do it. Whoa! What the heck?
Here. You better cut that.
Let's just
Heat it up.
give her a little heat. A little heat goes a long ways. Work smarter, not harder. Isn't that what they say? The union?
Yeah, that's what they say.
Come on, oxygen?
You're out of gas.
Well, who used that last? Well, because then we got 2 torches.
Yes. We got a torch over there. Well, someone put NT on.
Yeah, well,
Where's Chuck?
I ain't that smart. I hate this torch. Did we turn it on? No.
There. That might help.
I was thinking you didn't. Now grab your hammer. Yep. Well, I'll try it. I guess there's only 2 of them on there, so. I saw it moving. You probably made it all square now, so don't. Oh boy. Grab that impact again. Let's see. Okay.
Come on.
Yep. Watch your toes now.
Don't burn them.
Oof, I don't know. I think a guy could probably save it, but we got other ones to put on, so I think we'll just go with those. So I think what we're gonna do is we're gonna take the backing plate off. Well, let's leave that on there. We can put that on another car someday with a note that it needs bearings. We're gonna take the brake lines off, and we're gonna split the tie rod ends so that we can get the spindle off, and then we're gonna split the upper and lower ball joints. We're gonna put a whole new spindle on it, and then we're gonna put disc brakes from there. Dad bought a bunch of parts from a guy who had like a 67 GTO, I think, and he put disc brakes on it, drove for 600-700 miles, didn't like it, went back to drum brakes. So we got all his stuff. We got a set of drop spindles, standard spindles, and disc brakes. This car already sits plenty low for Dad, so we're just gonna put the stock spindles on it and disc brakes. We don't need no more empty tanks around here. Hopefully let's make our lives a little easier. A little looby-doob on everything. Looks like everything's plenty covered in grease. Shouldn't be a problem. All right, Baer brakes are on. They were a little tricky figuring out how to get this caliper inside this mount. There's a little bracket back here that goes onto our spindle. Obviously, we'd put some new cotter keys in the ball joints, cleaned up the steering arm. Nothing to it. These things came with wheel bearings already pre-packed, so pretty much you just got to put the nut on, sucker down, put the cotter key in, put your dust cap on. And look at that. The hoses even fit right on there. No adapters needed. I guess we're gonna knock out the other side now. Same deal. I think we're gonna leave the spindle on this side, so we're gonna leave all the ball joints in there because this spindle looks good. I didn't manage to ruin this one. I think we just gotta take these 3 bolts off, those 2 there, and that guy there, and take our brake line off. I'm ready to rock. Oh boy. I would say we were due for some new shoes on Mojo.
Yeah.
Dang, paper thin.
Yep.
Well, Mojo finishes up the brakes on the front. I sub-assembled our master cylinder here. This is a pretty neat unit. It's got thread-on caps. It's all nice and machined. Don't worry, I won't need that. It's 15/16 inch diameter, so it should be for manual brakes. I put this proportioning valve on there. Well, it came with it. Adjustable proportioning valve. And that is so that you can adjust when your rear brakes lock up. As far as I know. I mean, there's probably more to it than that, but basically, you don't want your rear brakes locking up before your front brakes, because then it goes woo, and your back end passes your front end. So you don't want to do that. It's no bueno. We've all been there. And the way these are machined, you can either put banjo fittings or you can put regular inverted flare. But to put an inverted flare, you got to drop these little guys in there, these seats. And the neat part about these seats is our proper English, they're replaceable. Who is riding their 4-wheeler out here now? I have no idea. Apparently they're pretty proud of it. At least they didn't park in front of the door. That's what I hate. People parking in front of the door. So we're gonna take this guy and drop it in there, and I got these, I got my fancy bleeder kit. I save all these fittings, and we're gonna bench bleed it. Yeah, that's right, bench bleed it. So we're gonna get all the air out of the system. So we're gonna thread these in there, push them inside. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. But yeah, super nice unit that Baer's got here. Really swell done. And then we just got to adjust it, the pedal, and then make a couple new lines. Good to go. Can't get anything done around here without any background noise. Duff's having lunch. And Dingus, we got him trimming up the bush. We'll see how bad he screws that up. That's right. Pick up a high school kid to do stuff around here. And we're having a hard time finding things that he can handle. We need more mojos. Anyway, I'm gonna get some brake fluid, get this thing clamped in the vise somehow without scratching up that nice anodized aluminum. Duff's gonna have a snack. I'm not gonna get any brake fluid in his bowl. We're gonna get this thing bench bled. Oh, maybe if we put these non-marring jaws in here. Wishful thinking. If we put it this way, yeah, now we're thinking about a dipstick, Jimmy. Maybe. Good enough for the girls we go with. Got these nice machine caps. It's got Das Boot inside. Separate reservoirs, so yeah, if one drains out, the other one doesn't drain out, so that's pretty handy. Oh yeah, we gotta put these in there. Cripes. All right, let's put those seats in. And that's what the seal pick was for, because you gotta make sure you get them seated. Seat your seats properly. Otherwise, you're gonna have a leak, and or you will damage them. Apparently, I don't know how to thread in a fitting, or it's the wrong size. What the French toast? Okay, this is not going well. Maybe we'll try without the seat for now, but we'll put the seat in when we put the permanent tube line in there. We're just trying to push air out, so it's not like we're gonna have a bunch of pressure on there. We shouldn't. If you got pressure on there, you're doing something wrong. Significant amounts of pressure anyway. Boop. It's just that there's too much distance between the threads in that seating area on these things. They don't work with the seats. Imagine that, some crappy little plastic third country fittings. Third country? Third world country fittings are not that great. Poorly manufactured. All right, let's try this again. Okay, you want to have that hose below the fluid level so that it's pulling back fluid every time. And of course, that hose is not long enough. Story of my life. So we're just gonna have to go find a longer hose, I guess. All right, install a longer black hose. Too long. Not the story of my life. Now we're talking. Guess we're gonna need more brake fluid. Now we get it topped off. Now we just gotta push on this piston a few times until we get all the air bubbles out. Get our calibrated pushing device. This thing is also made in some third world country out of chrome vanadium. They still brag about chrome vanadium? You don't see them putting it on tools anymore, do you? Only the good ones. Oh, she's a squirter. You don't want to get brake fluid all over your any painted surfaces. Brake fluid's real bad. All right, I think we got her. All right, we got our dual reservoir master cylinder installed, and because the original single reservoir only had 1/4 inch line coming out of it that ran the entire brake system, we put 2/4 inch lines coming off here. We use this nickel copper stuff. I'm growing accustomed to it. It's not, a lot of people brag it up. I don't think it's that amazing. I just don't like the way that it looks because it looks like copper and it looks like a plumber did your stuff. You could spend a lot of time routing brake lines if you want to make them look super, super pretty. But what we did is, this is the line going to the rear. We just put a union or a splice on there. Not like a compression fitting, but it's an actual inverted flare union. And then we put a plug, an inverted flare plug into the T down there to go where it would go to the rear. And then we just made a new line, put a whatever adapter in, not an actual adapter, but a larger, a 1/4 inch size end on this 3/16 line, and tied that into the T for our front stuff. So, I mean, if you really want to do it right, you'd run a whole new line to the rear so you wouldn't have this coupler here, and then you'd put a different style T on there so you didn't have that open port on the back. But it's going to be fine for what we do. We're using all the right parts, just I didn't want to spend the time to make all new lines to make that T look nice and to run a whole new line to the rear, because I'm not a fan of running new brake lines. We got better things to do. So now we got to go do the push rod on the inside. This was what was on our brake pedal. This was something I had laying around. The original one has too big of a ball on the end to fit inside there, and we could smooth that off, but I don't really feel like doing that. Instead, we'll just use this one. Make sure you adjust that properly so you don't have pressure on it when your foot isn't on the pedal. Otherwise, it's going to make your brakes drag, and then also you don't want it to over center, so it goes over center when you press the brake as well. Some tools we like to use here when we're doing lines is this universal brake flaring tool. It's pretty handy, right, Mojo?
Yep.
You qualified to run it now?
I'm getting better at it.
Getting better at it. There's that 1/4 inch line we took off, a little bit bigger. See, there's your 3/16 ends. Well, that's the plugs that we had. Make sure you got some of these plugs around there handy. I'm down to my last 2 now since we used one. And then this tool is really handy for making nice 90-degree bends. And we got a straightening tool here somewhere. Mojo probably walked away with it. Oh, there it is. For taking the bends out. If you screw them up, this thing's pretty slick. And you can also put bends on the ends, but works good for clamping. Straighten them out. I think this came from Speedway Motors, so did that other piece. Yeah, not tools that are necessary, but they make life a whole lot easier, especially that hydraulic flaring tool. Plus that'll do, I think it's, what is it, by Master Craft or Force or, anyway, you can do a lot of push to connects, metric bubble flares, all kinds of cool stuff. And it's a good flare every single time. I shouldn't say that because now these guys will leak. So I'm gonna finish that pedal part, like I said, get her adjusted in there, and then ready to bleed some brakes, and hopefully we have some disc brakes. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. It's got all the whoa and the go. Well, what do you think, Duff? Brakes bore the heck out of you? Yeah, me too. Laying underneath dashes, not fun. Well, this brake rod wasn't long enough, so I found another one in my collection that was too long. And guess what? It's easier to shorten these than it is to stretch them. My brake rod stretcher, I couldn't find it. So there's that. Look at this stuff. We got a pedal hooked up. We got our brake light switch adjusted. Oh yeah. Now we just got to bleed them. So best part of the whole job. We're definitely going to not video that. Oh yeah, one more thing that we needed. Specialty tools when you're working on brakes. Where can I find it in here? These guys, these crow's feet, these are made by Sunex Tools, not a paid sponsorship, but these things, super handy when you're doing transmission lines and brake lines and stuff like that. Tighten a couple of them. These were good, not just regular crow's foot. These are your, I don't know, flare wrench crow's feet tingers. Oh, Wes, he told me I needed this Rotacut bowl cutter kit. I've had it for like 2 years. I haven't used it yet. Anyway, get yourself some of these. Father's Day is probably coming up. Get your dad a set. Or if you're dad, tell your kids you want a set. So that being said, let's bleed some brakes and hopefully we can go for a rip. What do you think? You want to go for a ride? Yeah? You're clean enough to ride in this thing still, surprisingly. So the Mount Mortske melted and the Grape Concord touched the ground on May 10th. It is May the 16th today, so 6 days, and I've already had to mow the grass twice. So we go from snow mounds to mowing grass in 6 days. What a deal. I think the neighbors still got a little bit of snow in their yard. It was like 79 yesterday. Not complaining. Shorts on, chicken legs are out, safety shoes are on. Duff just wants to go for rides. All right, brakes are bled. They feel a little bit softer than I prefer. The thing is, this is a 15/16 diameter. The larger the diameter you have, the more feedback you're gonna have in the pedal. So if you have like 1 1/8 inch, you're gonna move that much more fluid, so it's gonna feel that much more firm at the pedal, so it's gonna take more pressure. You get what I'm saying? Smaller diameter is gonna feel softer, larger diameter is gonna feel firmer. So maybe we go up to like 1 1/16 inch, something like that to get a little more feel, but we'll have to drive it, see how it feels. It's kind of hard to tell just sitting in the car. Another thing about these is they give you this neat little syringe. I was like, what is this for? For bleeding? No, they say you fill it up with water, and then after you get done bleeding it, you shoot that thing into the old bleeder there, and then it gets the fluid out that's caught in the bleeder, and then you wipe everything down so they look nice and pretty. I would have never thought of such thing. And I think this is the first time ever that I've put the old rubber cap on the bleeder, because, you know, this is the first time we've had nice, fancy, high-performance brakes. So hopefully they work good. There is a process. What is it called? 2 processes. Bleeding, we already did that. Pad bedding and rotor seasoning. Basically, what it shows here is drive the car at a moderate pace for a week, and then slowly ramp it up, how aggressively you're braking, and then let it cool down, and so on and so forth. Motor's making a bunch of noise, so yeah. Seasoning and bedding. Never knew about it, because never had fancy brakes for it. Just standard off-the-shelf stuff. But right now, I'm gonna put some new shocks in this thing. I'd love to put new control arms, aftermarket control arms and sway bars and all that good stuff from like somebody like QA1, but nobody seems to want to answer my emails, so I guess they're not going to get my business. But so if you know somebody at QA1 or one of their competitors, send us an email, mortskerepair@gmail.com. Set us up with those guys, because I'd love to upgrade this thing, especially with some sway bars, because it drives like a big old Buick. It's kind of fun, but it's kind of scary at the same time. And I figure if we're going to go through all the effort of putting ball joints and tie rod ends and control arm bushings and all that, we might as well convert it to some tubular stuff with some great big sway bars and all that good stuff, and some adjustable shocks and whatnot. But for now, it's just going to be an old man car, because I'm an old man, and that's what my old man is, an old man. So we're gonna put some shocks in there. What do we got? I don't even know. I think they're just your standard KYBs. Yep, KYBs and Gabriels. I don't know which one's in the front, which one's the rears. You know why I bought them? Because they're black, and they're not obnoxious, and they're not bright yellow, and they're not bright red. And yeah, this is the rear. Gabriel's in the rear, KYB's in the front. Front's got this stud that goes through the frame. I think that's just a 3/8 nut right there. And then we got a couple of bolts here. And in the back, we just got this 7/16 nut there, and then a couple of bolts going through the top. Should be pretty straightforward, provided those nuts don't spin on us. But no, we just had them loose down here. Never mind. Okay. Shocking. I know. All right, let's get this thing wrapped up so we can go bed the pads and season the rotors. Yeah, I know about seasoning cast iron pans, but I don't know anything about seasoning rotors. Probably because they got these cool fancy little holes and slots and whatnot on there. Don't think I've ever had a set that's had those either. All the firsts on the Buick. I feel like Dad probably replaced these. The road sensing one. Knowing him there, Monroe's. That looks like a Monroe part number 5754 ST. Oh yeah, they're still fine. Not saving them. Some assembly required. You gotta put a washer on. Special shock bushing washers. Or they're the same on your sway bar end links. And your rubber. One of those instances where doubling down on rubbers is acceptable. Once we get her slid up there, we're gonna do the same thing. Another rubber, another washer. And we're gonna put the nut on. And this one even comes with a jam nut. What's the difference between a jelly nut and a jam nut? I don't know. I just said that. See? Black. And we'll even put the decal to the inside so you can't see it. Please be the right one. Oh, don't put the nut so far away you can't reach it. It stayed in there. Lucky. Don't you hate when you can't find your hardware and it's still in your socket? If that hasn't happened to you before, you're not trying hard enough. Of course, I went and got one of them special GM shock sockets, and it's the wrong size. All right, one shock down, got our jam nut on there and everything. We just got to take all our tools over and do the other side. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. We're going with the Gabriel Ultra G-forces on the rear. The finest quality. They put the sticker right over the clamp that holds them closed. Oh, that one. Oh, real straight on that one. Nice work, Gabriel. But we're gonna just use a long 3/8 extension and get those bolts on the top and a short one on the bottom here. Bada bing, bada boom. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. Alrighty, we got our shocks on. I don't know if I told you guys about this, but I'm running my pressure side. This is our filter, but there's a pump in the tank, and that's hooked up to our original steel line, and I had a failure. It leaked right here. And so yeah, we had fuel all over all of this stuff, and it kind of ruined my nice exhaust. At least it didn't burn the car to the ground. That would have been no bueno. So yeah, that's why that looks all cruddy and this side looks goodish. And this is what brake fluid does to your nice new rear end. Yep, it's down to the bare steel there too. Oh well, that's why we didn't pay for the $150 powder coating, because we're just gonna ruin it anyway. And then when you blow the wheel bearing out and you have to tow it home, and that's where you hook up the chain, it scratches it all up. It's just part of driving them and whatnot, so I like driving them more than I like cleaning them. Somebody said that on Reggie. It's like, oh my God, it's hideous under the hood of that thing. It's like, well, that's why I don't open the hood up at the car show, because I don't care. That's why I don't really care for car shows either, because everybody judges you on how clean your car is. And my dog doesn't judge how clean my car is, so why should you? All right, I think we're about ready to put this thing on the ground and go test out them brakes. I'm excited to have 4 good wheel bearings. Yeah. And we will save all this old stuff. So if we ever get, it's all A-body GM 64 to 72. So if we get like a GTO or a Chevelle or Buick Skylark, any of that stuff, all this stuff will bolt right on there. I mean, granted it needs new shoes, but we know everything was working. So we can get a car back on the road and running in no time. We just need a couple of wheel bearings and chase the threads on that spindle, and we'll be back in action in no time. We ended up putting both spindles on because it was just easier. We had to ream these holes out, but the aftermarket spindles that we had, the holes were already reamed out, so what the heck, we just ran those. Plus I got a full set of drop spindles from Willwood and disc brakes for the front of one of these, so I guess we're gonna have to find another GMA body. They would fit right on the 68 Chevrolet Nomad station wagon that we got out back here, but the brakes actually work on that thing, and somebody else needs to own it. Hit us up, mortskerepair@gmail.com. Somebody gave me $1,000, you could have that thing. Got a title for it. 307 Power Glide, runs, drives, got a broken window in the back. Probably impossible to find, but the front clip and the Power Glide are probably worth $1,000 to the right person, but I don't have a need for it. Watch, as soon as I sell it, I'll find a 68 Super Sport Chevelle that's missing a Power Glide and front clip. All right, let's get some wheels on this thing, get her on the ground, and test the brakes out. Hopefully they work. They should. Everything should be new. Pretty much everything's new except for the lines. She's on the ground, lug nuts are torqued. As much as I'd like to go for a ride, the neighbor, Buzz Lightyear, I don't even want to explain how he got that nickname, but long story short is he told the president of a multi-billion-dollar company that, have you guys ever thought about putting a bobcat on the moon? Yeah, in a one-on-one session. A bunch of us were there and we're like, so Buzz Lightyear, or Tommy Pastrami, because he ramped a motorcycle into an outhouse and broke all the bones in his leg. We got to go fish his horse trailer out of a swamp because he parked it in a bad spot last fall or this winter. Now he buried the pickup. He got the pickup out and he can't get it out with his skid steer. So we're gonna take the old telehandler over there and see if we can't fish it out. I scoped it out yesterday to make sure it wasn't gonna be a wasted mission, and it might get wasted in the process. But anyway, we're gonna be the nice neighbor, like State Farm. We're there.
Do the jingle! Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there! Hey guys.
So I'm gonna, pack a road lunch and we're gonna go do that. You gotta stay here because he's got a kitty and the neighbor's got mean dogs and you're just a friendly dog and we don't want him to eat you. So there's not enough room in the telehandler for you, so you get to hang out, keep an eye on the shop. You're a good pup. All right. Let's do this. All right, we are saddled up. We're gonna go out to Buzz Lightyear Tommy Pastrami's and try to retrieve a gooseneck horse trailer. Straight pipe Peterbilt life. All for that one little auger. They're not moving, but there's a lot of dust going up in the air. Everybody's kind of farming again. We got about 1.5 inches of rain this weekend, and it's between the wind. You can see we got a little wind today, and the 70-degree weather. She's drying up. The neighbors are going, slamming them beans in the ground and corn, whatever. All right, let's go get a frickin' horse trailer. Ugh, horses. Well, kids, you get the point. It's real bouncy in here. And not much to see, just a bunch of township roads. With a little bit of mud on them from the neighbors. I think that's Ashley's going up on the hill with that John Deere. Ah, there's Jacobson's over there. Oh yeah, everybody's going up the hills. follow me. Where are we going? To the dry spot, hopefully, somewhere?
Let me go move that step out of the way.
Just what I wanted to do tonight. Pull a horse trailer out with a telehandler for Buzz Lightyear. Tommy Pastrami himself. Well, turns out, look at those fancy cows. What are they, Highlanders? Is that what they're called? And those are hay burners there. Apparently he's got his F750 stuck with a trailer. So we're gonna have to fish that out too. Oh, Lightyear, he's something else. I really don't want to get this thing stuck. Just hook it to the fork. Yeah! You follow me! Oh, but wait, kids, there's more. He's got the skid steer and the trailer stuck too. There goes the chain. New game, retrieve the bobcat with no chain. You don't have a ball welded to your pallet forks. Yeah, this thing, I've never had it in mud, and it's not that good apparently. So third time's a charm, right? There was some wire wrapped around the axle. So, he thinks that's what was causing it. I don't have much faith. got himself out. What a deal. Not quite. See if we can't retrieve this trailer on our own. It's not looking promising. But you know, we're just dumb enough to try. Alright, let's try something dumb. Mission accomplished. Back to the homestead. Alright, so when we got that International Scout kind of up by Buzz's this winter or fall, whatever, there was some old junk sitting out there, so I talked to the landowner and they said, yeah, go ahead and have it. Since we're up here, might as well load it up. Hopefully it ain't too swampy back here, that'd be my luck. Get this son of a biscuit stuck. There it is, right over there. It's a, oh my gosh, she's rough. It's an old axle with some steel wheels on it. I don't know, it'd be cool for something. I don't know what, but it was too heavy for me to throw in the back of the Ranger. So, telehandler life it is. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. Oh, a little off center. Alright, he's got another one too in a rock pile. Let's go pick that up. So, although I do enjoy hunting, what I enjoy hunting more than critters is hunting junk. So this time of year when there's no leaves on the trees yet, or in the fall, it's great too. You drive by all these old farmyards and, you know, see what you can see from the road, because in my mind, I guess that's legal. Don't trespass. And then there's a great app called Onyx Hunt or Onyx Maps. I think it's just called Onyx. But I think you could pay, like, it's like 20 bucks for your state or 100 bucks a year for the entire country. And you can tell who owns these places. So then you can get a hold of the landowner, or, you know, we're from a small town, so I just asked the guy who was storing stuff here. And he gave me the guy's number. But anyway, you can use that to get a hold of the landowners, you know, if you find an old car or some, whatever you're after that's in the trees. It's cool to, like I said, spring and the fall works best because so there's no leaves on the trees. Believe it or not, we do have some trees here. Not really much for hills or curves in the roads or anything like that, but yeah, picking up junk. And you know, sometimes it's not for sale and other times you just make him a fair offer. Or in this case, he's like, yeah, that's all scrap to me, so just get it out of there. And I'm like, all right, cool, I like free junk. And so at this next rock pile, there's like a, I think it's a 40 Ford front axle. It's like 40 to 48, but I think it's a 40 because I think it's got round back spindles. It might be a 41. 40 or 41. It's got the 5-on-5.5 bolt pattern. It doesn't have the wide 5, so it's not a 39. It's got juice brakes, so you know it's 39 and newer. And then I think it's got round back, so it's either a 40 or a 41. And it's kind of in a pile of iron, so we gotta fish her out of there. So I was always thinking, oh yeah, I'll just get a couple buddies up here and we'll cruise up with the trailer and chain and try to snake it out of the pile sometime. But since I'm driving right by it, and I got the old telehandler and the forks are empty, we might as well load her up, hey? Easy peasy lemon squeezy. All you gotta do is have yourself a telehandler, you know, because everybody's got one of these things sitting around, right? You should. It's kind of like a lift or a car hoist or a heated shop or a skid steer. or a car trailer with a winch, or a tire machine. You guys should start a list of things that you need to make friends. Tire machine, a lift, not a hoist, car trailer, skid steer, telehandler, you name it. Free beer. All right, let's fish her out of there. There's a bunch of iron in this pile. Most of it's farm-related, agricultural scrap iron to me, but probably worth something to somebody like Spencer who watches all my videos and really enjoys tractors. That's too bad. Just kidding, tractors are all right. There's an old manure spreader with some steel wheels there. There's the Ford wishbone sticking right up top. So let's see what happens when we hook her with the forks. Probably could have taken our steel wheel axle off first. We should definitely have a, dang it. If we had a wide cutter, we could, a wire cutter, a Dykes, a side cutter, we could cut that woven wire. That stuff's gonna catch up on us, I think. Catch up on us? Mustard on us? It's gonna get caught up on something, I guarantee it. Oh, freaking bed frames, bumpers, you name it, it's all in here. Now, if we can just back up and get off of that wire. Oh, our tie rod's hooked. What if we crank the wheels to the left? There we got her! Now don't slide through the window of the telehandler. Alright, we're getting rid of the, got rid of the woven wire. Oh, we just got a little barbed wire, shoot. Dropped it, bent it. It definitely is oh! Don't drop that too. Oh yeah, we can get them both. I'm gonna go readjust. It's a 41 to 48 square back spindles. Or 42 to 48, my bad. Well, I got this heap of junk. I don't know why I need these steel wheels, but maybe someday I'll get an old lady and she'll make some project for them, or we'll put them on a torch cart or sell them on Facebook Marketplace. 40 to 48 four-wheel. It's got a dinged up beauty ring and it's usable. I think these are a 4-inch wide wheel, 16 by 4. You can tell it's a 40 to 48 because of the square back spindles, and then of course it's got hydraulic brakes. So yeah, so there's some pieces there. There's some brake stuff, spindles, wishbones. None of it's real good, but I mean, if you get a car that somebody stole the axle to make a trailer, boom, it's a roller, provided we could free up them bearings. I just created a big waste of my time and a bunch more work for myself is about it. But at least I didn't go out of my way to do it. We're already here. All right, let's see how she rides. Hopefully don't fly underneath and kill us. Wish I had a ratchet strap though. Whoa! Time for some readjustment. Carry your load low, right? Forklift's operator certified. Wish we had a side shift on this thing. Also, I think we kind of ganked our axle on our steel wheel project, but we just wanted the wheels to do it. Definitely not blocking our vision here or anything. We're fine.
I'm in danger. I'm in danger.
I will give it that. There's not a lot of visibility to the right when we're doing this. You know, not so much here or here. Right here.
Right here. Not here or here so much, but right here.
But over there, I can see everything. It's real good. I mean, just look at it. then you got over here. Not a whole lot going on for visibility, so don't stand over there. Back to work. Hey, we got rid of some dirt. On the home stretch now, boys. No way we lose it from here on out. Foreshadowing. Home stretch now, boys and girls. Oh, we totally got this. That thing is literally hanging on by a thread. What's a sliver of metal? It's hanging on by a paper clip, that's all. That's what we're calling it. Perfect. Now I know what we can do with the torch tomorrow. Cut some steel wheels off. I don't know what we're going to do with the axle. The Ford one. Don't fall on my Ford wishbone. Whoop. Alright. Shut her down for the night. God dang wood ticks. Ugh. You got those where you're at? That's the worst part about junking. I was barely out of the cab even. Where'd he go? Anyway, yeah, we broke that, but it looks like, you know, that's a fresh crack there. And right in there where it's silver, but that was pretty well rotted through. So hopefully we can knock that off of that part there and salvage some steel wheels. Look at all these spacers. They got some, must be plates for a planter or something like that. Square bolts. That's how you know she's old. Square nuts, I guess. There's a spring going left and right, and they must have been a rope or something that went around that pulley and pulled it over this way or up that way. Let me know if you know what that thing is. Then, like I said, gosh, I thought the 42 to 48 had the hub outside here, but I know 42 to 48 had the square backs, and it had the spring in front of the axle. Those are torched off. Had cross steer, so that means it's 35 and newer. 35 and newer also had the spring across the front of the axle. Like I said, round backs are 42 to 48. It's got juice brakes, so clearly it's got to be 39 and newer. So I'm thinking it's and then 41s didn't have this, I don't think. Yeah, 42 to 48, final answer. If you guys know of a better year to nail it down, let me know. There ain't much there. These backing plates are super pitted up. The hubs are rusted through. I mean, everything's pitted up, but we're just gonna get pushed in a hole and buried, so if we can use anything out of it, the price is right. And then, yeah, we got some steel wheels for who knows what. All right, better let the old Duff out. You been keeping an eye on the place or what, pal? Of course you have. Yeah, you didn't miss out on much of buzzes. What a catastrophe. Come get my horse trailer out. And then it turns into, hey, I got the bobcat and the frickin' equipment trailer stuck. Yeah, I seem like an angry individual, but when you need help, I'll be there. All right, I need a sandwich. Or 7. What do you think, Duff? Sandwich time? Yeah. Duff, why can't we get anything done? Because everybody else is getting stuck. That's the beauty of all the snow we had this winter. And the rain we're getting this spring, is everything's all muddy. So Mrs. Pookie just called and she said she's stuck with the trailer and Pookie's out in the field. So is the SA and his dad. So we gotta go give her a quick yank. Are you excited, Duff? Yeah. So of course we got the old reliable Expedition here because this thing pulls out like nobody's business, right? Oh yeah, all the neighbors are going too. It looks like there was a, there it is. There's a cats. I don't know what they call them. It's on tracks. We just call them cats here. And that thing is doing a little dirt work. That thing's really moving along, making her happen. And up here is an actual cat dozer. Well, it's a dozer. And they're, but it's a tile or something up here. So, yeah. If you don't know what tiling is, it's not the kind of tile, oh, railroad tracks, that goes in your bathroom. It's the kind of tile where you put this like tubing in the ground, and it's got holes in it, and you all the water runs to it and gets the water out of your field. The bad part is, two bad parts is it's expensive, and that water's got to go somewhere, so you're just dumping it onto your neighbors. So yeah, everybody's fighting about water up here. It's probably everywhere, not just in the Midwest, but in the East and the West, and probably every part of the world. Fighting over water, right, Duff? When you don't have it, you want it. When you got too much of it, you want to get rid of it. All right, I wonder what she's hauling today. Probably some horse, taking it to the vet or something. Oh yeah, that's the other thing is, their oldest kid gets off school at 3 o'clock, and Grandma and Grandpa are busy, and they're busy, so we get to go pick up Pookie's daughter from school. So apparently they're gonna waive the 300-foot deal and let me go pick up Pookie Jr. from school. So that should be fun. And then I just gotta take her out to her dad in the tractor. So maybe we'll go get her some ice cream and get her all sugared up where she's gonna sit in the tractor all evening. All right, it's windy. Got to roll up the windows. The AC's still working that we charged up last year though. So that's pretty neat.
How neat is that?
Oh, have I told you how good this thing is? 282,373 miles. Like a frickin' champ. The old Expedition here. Duff absolutely loves it. Hey, there's Miss Pookie right there. What are you doing out? Oh yeah, like this. Just needs a little tug. I feel like we're gonna need a tractor. Oh, hey, there's a giant excavator right there. I don't know why we needed to bring the Expedition. We'll just pull her out with that thing. Make sure she's locked in the floor dig. Hey, nice shirt!
I knew I wore the right shirt for today.
You think I'm just gonna yank you right out of there, Bobo? Oh, you got all the dogs with. Why do you need a horse trailer to take the dogs to the vet?
My horses are tied up over there. I'm loading them. They were loaded. I had to hit it faster.
Hit it. Speed, that's key. Hot, nasty speed. Did you tell your husband yet? Not going to. He's crabby. It's planting season, and it's late.
I almost rocked myself out, but
Rocket, Barb. Rocket.
Rocket!
I'm rocking it!
Slower, Barb! Slower!
To the left. Other left. There you go. Oh, friggin' Expedition like a champ! You're welcome.
thank you very much.
I'll come to pick up my steaks.
You get 4 now since you have to pick up my kid too. Thank you.
Hope your day goes better.
You can give this our little secret, right?
I tell you what, pulling a crew cab Duramax out with a horse trailer hooked up, she did unload the horses, so now she's got to load them back up to take them to the vet. But that was a little bit of work for the old expedition there. I don't know if we were going to get it, but we had to get her spinning and get the turbo spooled up on the old Dirty Max. And then I drop in gear, and then it came out. So once we figured that out, first shot, got it. She was waiting for me to go, and then by the time she got the turbo spooled up, the wheels spinning in that silly Duramax, I was already sinking down. So got her figured out, eh, Duff? We should just, it's like we should offer a towing service around here, you know? We could be, who are those people on, they make entire YouTube channels with hundreds of thousands of followers on Matt's Off-Road Recovery. Yeah, I mean, we're basically doing it right here in Podunk, North Dakota. Ain't no thing.
Ain't no thing but chicken wine.
Maybe we can finally go for a test drive in that Buick. Maybe? Alright. Let's go do it. Oh, it's not a cat. It's a John Deere. Well, we're finally going to do this test drive thing. Let's open the door first so if we don't have brakes, we don't blast through the door. Oh yeah. No, we definitely don't have good enough brakes. I could put it in reverse. Maybe we'll do a lap around the yard, but there must be air in there. Still? Man, we're getting nice clean fluid and everything. Mojo was wondering if we needed a residual valve on the back. Hey, the grinding noise is gone though from the wheel bearings, so that's a plus. So residual valves like keep a little bit of pressure in the system. So like on drums, it keeps the shoes pressed against the drum. And that could be part of the issue. If you hit the brakes and they don't feel that good, but you pump it a few times and then hold them, they feel better, it's probably air in your system. But like I was talking about, that residual valve, as the fluid pushes out against the drums, and then as you let off the brakes, the drums come in. But with that residual valve, it keeps just enough on there so it's almost touching the drum or barely touching the drums in the rear, or the front if you have them in that instance, so that the springs are, you know, your brake springs are pulling those things in all the time. Basically, you're just overcoming the spring pressure on your drum brakes, so that, you know, if you got your drum here, you don't want your brake shoes in here, so you got to push the pedal, push the pedal, push the pedal, push the pedal, and then they grab finally. You know what I'm saying? I really like driving this thing. I really wish these brakes were better, because that's like to the floor. What if we do a couple pumps and then a stop? Still doesn't lock the brakes up. What do you think? Baer sent us the brakes and the master cylinder, so you'd think they would have sized them accordingly. But they also wanted us to put disc brakes in the back. We had disc brakes for the back for the old rear end, but I don't like rear discs, and I didn't like the old rear end, so we got rid of all that. Let's put her back on the hoist and reevaluate our life decision stuff. Sorry, short ride. We just can't win today. This is what I don't like about kits and projects and stuff, is all this little piddly stuff, you know? Like messing around trying to figure out what's wrong and changing master cylinder size and figuring out the brake pedal rod and all that. It takes more than the whole project. Dang it. Alright, try number 2. It feels better. Oh yeah. So what I did was I took the brake light switch, I had it adjusted all the way against that, and then I had the brake switch adjusted all the way back. If you know what a brake switch looks like, they're like this and they're threaded, and they got this little sleeve that they thread into. So I had that threaded out as far as you can safely have them threaded out, so I still had all of the throw that I should need. But I took this out, and so I gained another, you know, 3/4 inch of travel, and then I lengthened the brake rod, and I think we were just getting enough, weren't getting enough travel, is what it was. Yeah. So, I think we're good now. Make a lap around the yard and check it out. We'll have to reconfigure that bracket and then move the pedal switch back. The pedal's gonna sit a little bit higher now, but I don't know what else we can do. It seems to be working fine. So like I said, the pedal's only gonna sit up another 1/2 or 3/4 inch higher than it was before. Well, I think she's good enough around the yard. We might as well take her out on the highway, Duffaluppagus. Get some wind in our ears. Oh yeah, Pookie got his fertilizer down and dug in, and now they're planting out there. The neighbors are done over here with the cat. Now they got a John Deere sitting here. Yeah, those brakes, I suppose we gotta season the rotors and bed the pads. So we'll have to read the instructions on that, but I think we'll be fine. Just test her out for now. Never mind the headliner on this thing. Yes, I know, we need to either get a new one or get it cleaned. If you know how to clean those headliners and you want to do it, hit us up, mortskerepair@gmail.com, or comment down below how we can clean it ourselves. I suppose we need like some type of steaming device. I'll roll the window up so you guys don't have to listen to the wind, but Duff likes his window down. Where's the vent? Oh yeah, that feels good. I forgot how good this car is. Let me recalibrate the speedometer. Getting like we're slowing down for this corner up here. See, oh yeah, she's slowing down good. Pedals feel good. Pedals, singular pedal. 2-foot driving, I don't condone it. Left foot is for clutches and dimmer switches only, and that's if you have those options. Oh yeah. I think we got them. Just got to do a little fabrication on the pedal switch slash, or brake light switch slash stop light. I don't know. The bracket that stops the pedal and also holds the brake switch. We got to modify that guy. Or gal, however it identifies. It's a thing, that's what it is. It doesn't have a sex. Right, Duff? Right. You forget how good this thing was? You haven't ridden it in a long time either. Did you ride it in this winter when we put the rear end in it? I bet you did. Let's check our speedometer with our GPS app. GPS says 69, 70. And our Terminator X is saying 72, 73, so we can dial that in a little bit, but I think we're going to play with the rear tire size some as well. So we got that narrow rear end in it, so that we can get a little bit more tire back there. And if we get a taller tire or a shorter tire, we're going to need to adjust the speedometer anyway. It's a little bit fast, so that means we'll be running slow technically, so no speeding tickets, right, Duff? I did get my first speeding ticket in about 7 years in Reggie last week because that thing doesn't have a speedometer. So I was trying to catch up to somebody and assume that they were going the speed limit. Well, I think they were going faster than the speed limit already, plus with me catching up to them. Yeah. Brakes feel good. Good enough for now. We definitely got all the air out of there. Like I said, we'll play with that bracket. It should be good to go. It'll be nice to have the dual reservoir. The thing with the dual reservoir is so if you lose a rear brake line, you still have the front brakes, or vice versa. Vice versa means if you lose, it's the opposite of what I said. So if you lose your front brake line, you still have the rear brakes. Or the single reservoir, or the fruit jar, as many folks call them. If you lose any one of the brakes on any corner, lose your fluid, you lose all brakes. So that's why they became standard, mandatory by the DOT or whoever mandates that stuff. I think 67 was the first year of the dual reservoir master cylinders for everybody. But yeah, other companies like AMC, you know, safety first, those guys have been using it for a while already. So props to AMC for using the dual reservoir master cylinder. And plus we got discs now, so, and you saw just how puny, what were those things, like a 9-inch drum brake, just little guys. I guess I didn't measure these, like 12-inch discs. We'll just call them 12s. And they look really cool, you know, with the fancy red caliper, all Fast and Furious style. Plus we got new brake hoses out of the deal. I think we already put a new one on the rear when we did that, so all the rubber, everything's new. Master cylinder's new, calipers are new, wheel cylinders in the back are new, all 3 brake hoses are new. Got a whole lot of new going on, though. Thinking back, it's kind of silly of us to just, you know, throw an LS in this thing and come across the country at 85 miles an hour. I mean, whatever the speed limit is. There are other states between here and Bowling Green, Kentucky. And to not have touched the brakes. We put a master cylinder in at a Watch West Works, and that was about all we did to the brakes on this thing. Clearly we didn't check the wheel bearings or the brakes at all, because that would have prevented us from having to put spindles on this thing. Yeah, this thing's pretty good. Next is like getting a stereo. It'd be cool to send this factory stereo off and get it converted to like Bluetooth and FM, so we can listen to like something other than AM. Maybe put a speaker in here or 2. Cruise control would be nice. AC would be nice. Like I said, some suspension upgrades would be nice, just to, because it's like, it floats. Oh, we got new shocks now too, Duff. Forgot about that. Even though the old ones didn't really look that bad. Cheap investment though. This car's got a lot of good new parts on it. What's Dilly doing? Just driving around on his 4-wheeler. Man, there's a lot of people at the local watering hole for being 2 p.m. I don't know who these guys are. Oh, that's Bobby out bobbing around. He's got his planter going. He's got the seed tender hooked up to the old Duramax. Getting some product slammed into the ground. I don't think anybody's going to be planting any spring wheat this year. She's a little bit late. I wish I hadn't ruined that wheel bearing in it. It'd taken some more time and we'd done some, you know, 60 to 0 or 30 to 0 stopping distances. I think old Mickelson Racing, he's got a draggy, I think is what it's called, and you can like put it in the car, and I suppose it's GPS, and it does your like reaction times and 0 to 60 times and quarter-mile times and all of the times. So yeah, should have done that, but unfortunately the wheel bearing situation kind of put a wrench in that whole scenario. That was so bad. That was really dumb of me to not check the wheel bearings. Check your wheel bearings. You heard it here first. Learn from your local idiot, Mortske, to check your wheel bearings. Somebody else up here with some red equipment. Is that the Totenhagen boys? Everybody is in the field now. They've been chomping at the bit for months. It's been a long winter. There's another one going over there. I'm guessing that is Matthias's. Looks like another cat. And then we'll have to, not only with the seasoning of the rotors and the bedding of the pads, we need to play with the proportioning valve. Right now, they tell you from the bat, right off the bat, is to screw the proportioning valve all the way in, and then count how many turns it takes to go all the way out, and then split the difference. So it was like 11 turns, so we went 5.5 out is where we're at right now. And I think all the way out is 50% of your stop, or as 90% of the pressure goes to the rear. With it all the way, it's 50%. So you can vary between 90% and 50% of your stopping power going to the rear brakes. Pressure, I guess. So we'll need to play with that. And basically you just want to adjust it so that your rear brakes are locking up after your front brakes. You definitely do not want them locking up first. So should be fine. Plus, the less pressure you have on the rear brakes, the better it is for doing burnouts. And there might be some of that in this thing's future now that it's a two-wheel field. Oh man, I forgot how good this thing is. Do a little bit more aggressive stopping. Yeah. She's golden. Right, Duff? Yeah. Ready for all of the summer cruising once we get. Definitely need to remember to fix that brake switch. Man, this thing gets to 100 right now. Alright, I think that's a pretty successful test drive. Glad it was just adjusting the brake rod is all it was. Should be golden. All right, went underneath, took that bracket loose that I was talking about for the brake pedal switch, or the brake light switch. Quiet semi this time. And I thought, well, we can modify it or whatever. It's like, or we could drill 2 new holes. There's one that a little tab hooks through, and then 1 hole for the screw that holds it. And sure enough, there was a set of holes there already. Well, the retaining hole at the front stayed the same, and then there's another hole up higher. I don't know if it's for difference between a manual brake and a power brake car, but anyway, swung it up to that hole, put the bolt in through that hole. Everything works great. Adjusted it. Mojo and I checked the brake lights. Funny enough, they only work with the key on in this car. So usually if you push the brakes, they light up without the key on. I know this because the brake pedal switches don't work on half my vehicles, and that's why they have dead batteries. Case in point, Reggie, the most expensive vehicle I've ever bought. But anyway, I think this thing's ready to go. We'll give it a good cleaning, good once over, change the oil, check the tire pressure, and this thing's ready to go back to my old man. Hopefully he'll take it back and enjoy it this summer, because he only borrowed it for a week last year, or took it for a week and then brought it back. So maybe he doesn't like it. I don't know. Guess I'll keep driving it, but would like to get a little bit more tire on the back, and one of the tires is really bald for some reason. So I don't know. We should probably do that before we send it back to him. But yeah, brakes on it, shocks on it, working good. Wheel bearing that's completely there. All right, so that's gonna be a wrap for the old 66 Buick this time around. Hopefully it doesn't come back for a while and it's got all kinds of trouble-free miles. But I mean, it's been pretty trouble-free, other than the wheel bearing, which is completely my fault. Just been upgrades. Got those sweet Holley retro bright headlights, got the Baer disc brakes on it. It's got the LS, it's got the quick performance 9-inch. Yeah, this thing is good. It's really good. All right, on to the next one. Remember, it doesn't matter how you get it done, as long as you're having fun. You know what the most fun thing that Duff loves about this, other than the fecal matter? Running around in the swamp and getting all muddy. Don't you? Yeah. All right, I'm gonna go mow some grass. It's not how fast you can mow. It's how you can mow fast. Right? Right. Funny how we went from the car touch ground, the Grape Concord, Mount Mortske melted, and the Grape Concord, all four wheel, why can't I talk?